You can remember who he is if you haven't seen him before. And also we're going to play a little bit of the actual track that we're going to be listening to today. So let's get ready here. It always takes a second. This is live so that you can chat. Otherwise, if it's pre-recorded, you can't. So this is actually an opportunity for you to join in the masterclass. So here is Chris. This is a great image of him. Let me get myself out of here. I'm just the little guy here, okay? So I'm the coach. Tony's in the wings. He's going to be the student today. And this fellow's recording here, this is double diamond recording, meaning over 20 million sales since 2015. Incredible stuff going on. This is like old blues from the 60s, and yet it is hot in the 21st century. 60s meaning the 20th century. So we're going to really delve deep into this. So this is what the part of the song that we're going to work on sounds like. Here we go. All we got to do is unmute it. There we go.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine.
Here's the part Tony wants to learn. Check this out.
You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
I mean, that's going to be so much fun to get into that and really learn what is happening. So we are deconstructing, but we are also learning. This is actual class where you walk away going, I know something I didn't know before. And then you'll find out ways that you can learn even more about it later. Let's start with what I call myth busting. What's the myth? Well, the myth is people sing in this industry perfectly on pitch and perfectly in rhythm. You'll hear people tell you, sing in the pocket, be right on the beat. Always get everything perfectly in tune, because that's what we need to do in the recording studio. We need to be perfect. Well, when Chris walks into the recording studio and starts wailing like that, nobody cares about perfect. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about. Let me bring myself up on the stage. Like, who's the little guy talking? Oh, that's Brad. Okay, here he is. You're going to see that this is always going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be kidding around. We're going to have a great time. Now I'm going to bring Stony Tony, up to the stage here. That's not really a name. I just made that up. He's going to sing for us today. He's going to be like you. He's going to be the student. I'm going to be the coach. And again, Chris's recording, I want to make this very clear, is the teacher. I'm not going to sing like Chris and say, this is how you do it. I'm going to have Chris sing like that and then have you learn how to do it. It's a big difference. I've done research on the internet. There's a lot of voice teachers out there saying, hey, I will teach you how to sing like so-and-so, and then they get on there and they sing it. Well, that's okay. That's not wrong at all. But this is better because we're going to learn it from Chris. And Chris is the star here, not Brad, not Tony, Chris. All right? So let's keep that in mind. We're here to learn from Chris. All right, so back to myth busting. I'm going to prove to you with a software called Melodyne that you can actually see with your own eyes what I'm talking about. It's the latest thing. It's been out for years now, but I've had it for a couple of years now, and it just blows my mind every time I see it, and it's going to blow your mind too, because it actually shows us with our own eyes what actual notes Chris is singing in the line that we want to learn from. And this actually also can help Tony with the actual pitches you're trying to discover. So we're going to stay with Chris for that mostly. But this will also kind of help you say, okay, he's actually singing, between a D and a D sharp there. And so it will help you a little bit, you being a musician. Now, if you're not a musician, don't worry about this. This is going to make sense even if you're a beginner and you really don't know what's going on. So let me play a little bit of Chris in here. This is just his voice, no music. This is the way that we can evaluate actual pitch. We use what's called a stem splitter. We remove his voice, and we put him in Melodyne here, and just listen to how clean and beautiful this sounds.
You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
Did you get that, Tony? Oh, where's his mic?
There we go. Sorry about that.
Is that clean and loud and clear?
That's clean and loud and clear.
All right,
amazing.
excellent. And everyone out there, if you heard anything that didn't sound quite right to you, please mention it in the chat, because every once in a while there's technical difficulties and we can't hear them on our side. So we really appreciate your help. Also, I'd like you to put in the chat right now a fire emoji if you felt the chills that the rest of us just felt when I played that. Let's play it again. So let's listen to it like an audience before we evaluate it. Here we go.
You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
I mean, this technology is incredible. I love the 21st century. This is not that expensive to have, and it just blows my mind that teaching has changed so much. And I'd like to mention to you that how I got here is through actual teaching. I was teaching technique for about 20, 25 years before I decided that this was the way to go. And it's been a great ride, and it's going to get even greater because every time I bring up a new artist for one of my students, I'm learning something new. This stuff is too complicated to stick in a book, a video program, to try to evaluate with music theory, to take a class at a university to figure it out. And it's not going to happen, and I'll show you why. So what happened was I'm sitting in my hot tub, and I'm going, you know, all these years I've been teaching technique, and it's been great. I'm all for it, and I still do it. But the students didn't sound like the artists that they wanted to sound like. They said they wanted to do this. So they bring in the sheet music, and we play, you know, I have a pianist come in, they play the notes, we play the chords. You know, there's no drums, there's no bass, and so it just never really felt right. But I didn't have a choice. I didn't have any way to get around it. So then starts coming karaoke tracks, and so that starts opening my mind. And we start being able to feel the drums and the bass, and going, yeah, my student's getting closer, but there's still something missing. It's the emotion. Why is the emotion missing? Because we're technical. We're thinking about, oh, we got to be on perfect pitch, we got to be this and this. So I'm not dissing that. That should be built into your subconscious. You should be able to produce any pitch at any time with any emotion you want. But if you don't have the emotion, the audience doesn't really care. And I spent quite a few years actually not liking my old favorite artists because I had disconnected from the emotion and all I was listening to was pitch. So I created the philosophy of sing from field. Now, I didn't create this as like Chris learned it from me. No, he's doing it, and I'm noticing that he's doing it. So he feels his music before he sings it. Melodyne's going to prove that, and then we're going to pull up some sheet music, and that's going to prove it. So let's take a look at what we're actually talking about here. So each one of these golden blobs, as they're affectionately called, is an actual pitch. Right here it shows you D. Right here it shows you E, etc. Now these black boxes are where the pitch would be if it was perfectly in tune. From left to right is pitch. I wish they'd written music that way. That's another subject. Anyway, left to right is pitch, and top to bottom is rhythm? Yes, his rhythm. Okay. So he is not perfectly on pitch. Right here you can see he's a little bit on the flat side. Now I can actually show you the amount is flat. I click on this here, and he's 10% flat. No big deal. Okay, right here, 60% sharp. So again, when you heard him, you probably thought, oh, he's perfect. He's perfectly in pitch. Now, based on his style, based on his rules, based on blues, he is perfectly in pitch. This is the Mythbuster. This Melodyne that is showing us isn't the way this kind of music is sung. That's what I'm showing you. This note here is quite sharp. I mean, 38%. He kind of, when he went for that, he kind of shot over the top of it. And then as you look at each note in here, you see that the rhythms are off as well. So if we look between the vertical lines, you'll see like this one right here, he started between the vertical lines. These are 16th notes. And he ended on the between the vertical lines here. So again, it's not really going to help us to go through and evaluate every possibility that he's, done here. But so this one's quite flat. I think you should hear that. 34% flat. This one's way flat. 44% flat. Now this one I love because he starts pretty much right on the pitch. And then as he starts to kind of color the sound and you see these wavy lines, then all of a sudden it starts to go sharp. And that's the vibrato. So when you hear it this time, I'm going to play the whole thing again. Only take a second. When you hear this last note, notice the different colors that he goes through and how Melodyne tries to actually show us what they are.
You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
Right? So again, it's going to be better to hear it with the audacity, which we'll get to later. But this opens our mind. It says, look, okay, if we really want to sing great music like Chris Stapleton, let's not use sheet music. But now I think it's important to actually look at sheet music to understand exactly what I'm talking about, to hear it and see it at the same time. So if you read music I'm not telling you not to read music by any means. I think that's still a great skill. Even though it's not used much, I haven't seen a piece of sheet music in my studio for years. But we're going to look at this anyway because I think it's important for everybody to understand what I'm trying to say. So these visuals, again, it's incredible technology that's available. It's so easy for me now. Here I am running my own TV studio on my own ability. I mean, whoever thought that could happen, right? So let's see where that starts.
While you're pulling that up,
yeah,
you've got
you.
2 highs in the chats.
Oh, hey, guys.
And Awoken Roadblocks.
And what?
Awoken Roadblocks.
What's that?
Well, it's just the name they're using. But,
oh, okay. All right.
We got 2 people saying hello.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and hello back. Okay, here is the line. No, this is not the line. I had this all set up. I don't know where it went.
Oh, I see it on the right top. Nope, come back.
I
thought I saw it.
It's not quite that far in. It's close because it is near the end. But you'll see the riff. Here it goes. Here is Warm. Yeah, this is where the riff starts.
Okay.
So actually, I do start it a little bit earlier so you can hear the sweet spot. You can hear the sweet part. Now, we're using the very beginning, You're as Sweet, as a lead-in to the actual line that we're trying to learn. So that there's kind of, if you will, an introduction to get us in rhythm, to get us in beat. So we're going to play this. Now, A, B in your mind, compare. We just heard Chris a couple of times. We've heard him on the radio. We've seen him on TV. Now, listen to how the piano plays what supposedly he should be singing. You're as sweet. I don't know about you, but that didn't sound much like Chris. Now, I would say that it would be kind of fun to learn that that riff. The pianist was really moving. But this is quantized, meaning that this piano is playing perfectly in pitch, perfectly in rhythm. I mean, to the I don't know what degree. But again, listen to it again and again. A, B in your mind. You can see Tony laughing. Here we go. This is the part we want to learn, but not this way. And Tony's a pianist, so he could probably sit down and figure that out and actually maybe learn it. But here's the problem. Once he learns it that way, he's not learning what Chris is doing. And before this software was available, and I would hear a singer doing a riff and I could hear it was a little sloppy, I would, like a musician, slow them down and, maybe play the riff on the piano, and say, okay, you're kind of going like, you're kind of sloppy like that, So let's clean it up. Let's slow it down, right? And that's great. We are going to be slowing Chris down. That's where a lot of the magic is going to come out. But the problem is even once you master this riff, it's not going to sound like Chris. It's not going to sound like a blues singer. It's going to sound like a choir or an opera singer, because they live in the world of perfect pitch and perfect rhythm, and they should. That is their world. This is ours. So don't think I'm putting down classical music. I'm not. I'm just trying to say that if you try to use classical music to learn this kind of music, it only has so much value. That sheet music has value as a reference, but it doesn't tell the truth of what Chris is doing, and it doesn't tell the emotions of what Chris is doing, and that's what we're going to get into now. This is really the fun part. So we're going to start looking at Chris in Audacity, and it won't be looking so much as hearing. Just give me a moment. Here he is up on the stage. And there is Audacity, which is going to play what he's singing, and it's going to blow your mind because we're going to slow it down to the point where you can actually hear anything. But I'd like to make an example of what it's like to try to sing this, even with this recording, at the original tempo. So it's going to be something that Tony's going to help us with. So he's going to, poor guy. So he's laughing at me. Okay. He's going to try to learn this lick the way that most of us have been doing most of our lives. And I'm 72 now, and I did it for about the first 35. And wasn't a waste of time. I got a lot done, and of course got a lot of bad habits too, but I fixed that with vocal technique. And by the way, if you want vocal technique, this is not the way to get it. Vocal technique is private. You do it one-on-one with a great teacher who can show you how to hit the notes, how to get rid of the break that you shouldn't have in the first place, etc. But that's not what this course is about, or this class. The vocal muse technique is what we're going to be doing here, is designed to help you learn how to phrase, inflect, etc., so that you know the tools of how to create what would naturally be something that you would speak into actual pitch. Then Sing from Feel, I mentioned earlier, is the book, which we'll talk about, which expands this whole thing. It even talks about the vocal muse system. So this all comes together. So are you ready, Tony?
I am ready.
Okay, here you go. So this is what most of us do, and it's not wrong. It's just I'm going to show you the difference between how we used to do it and how this shows you how to do it. Let me unmute it. Thought I'd done this already. Oh, that's right. I redid things. Okay, here we go.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
Okay, so Tony is listening first. That's huge. Pay attention to this. Listening is always first. Singing comes second. Listening first, singing second. It's huge. So he's going to listen a couple times before he starts to try to match it. But even at this tempo, we're going to find that it's going to be better to do it a different way. Here we go. We are now in the control booth.
You're as warm.
So, there we go. Okay, here it comes. So we're listening.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine.
This is Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey.
You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
And this is a live version.
On a ice this stone.
Okay? So I'm going to put this, I don't usually use this at this point. We're going to put this in loop mode so Tony can listen a couple of times, because we're really putting him in the hot seat here. So let's give the guy a chance. Here we go.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
Here's the loop.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy.
Okay, so again, for example purposes, go ahead and sing it, Tony.
Oh, okay.
Now, we'll talk about how he would work on this at home alone. But because we don't have, 2 or 3 hours, or at least I don't think most people would watch it. If we did, he's not going to try to learn and master everything. We're not here to try to impress you with our incredible skills. We're trying to impress upon you how to learn from great artists. So give it a shot, Tony. Doesn't matter how it comes out. We just want to show people what it's like when you try to learn at the original tempo without really doing a lot of listening.
You're as sweet as strawberry wine.
You're as warm. I can't keep up with them.
Exactly. But what if you tried? Think about it. You probably have tried, haven't you?
I've sort of translated it my own way. I
Okay.
was never able to keep up with them, so I just do it a lot slower and a lot less riff.
Okay, all right. So that's great, because that's an example of what we're missing. And that's the example of what I was missing when I used to try to do the same thing. Lead singers all over the world are putting records on and just singing along with the great artists, hoping that someday it will sound the same. Or as Tony said, screw it. I'll do it my own way. And there's nothing wrong with that either, and we will get into doing it your own way. All this is going to lead to artistry. Right now it seems like, are they trying to learn how to be Chris? No, we don't really want to sound like Chris. We want to learn from Chris. And the best way to learn from Chris is what is called a unison, singing along. And I love to put Tony on the hot spot again. What is it? When you're trying to achieve a unison with a vocalist, what is that? Can you tell people kind of how that works?
Okay, so when you're listening to another singer and trying to learn from them and mimic what they're doing, and you're singing along with them, when you're not in sync with them, you can hear the two distinct voices. And once you're fully in sync with them, it becomes one sort of new sounding voice locked in together, flowing perfectly with a different tone almost, but it's one voice sounding. Yeah. Two people sounding like one voice. Sorry.
No, exactly. And in choir, of course, that has a different reason. But here, what it will do, we'll get to. I want to keep you guys curious a little bit. All right, so Tony picked this. He says, this will be wild. Let's see if we can learn this. We can. And with this new software, I can teach just anybody just about anything. I have a 10-year-old that started me with him when she was 8, and we've been working on Ella Fitzgerald scatting. And the only way it can be done is the way I'm going to show you right now, because a 10-year-old never would have figured out anything. And she plays piano as a classical player, which is interesting. It kind of pulls her between commercial music and classical, and that's okay. It's great to have, more things in your head. But I would also say that one should, in this industry, find a genre that they love and pretty much stick to it. Because by the time you're ready to hit the stage as a star, you need to be an expert in that skill. If you're a jack of all trades and you're trying to make records to sell, you're going to have a hard time getting an audience to lock into you because you're like a chameleon. So once you pick a genre, you should pretty much stay in it. Anyway, we're going to go to something you can't see here. It's called effect. And this you will be able to see. I'm going to click tempo. And you can see this little box here. Now, when you actually do this with Audacity, if you want to kind of follow along, the first thing you do is put a 0 in this box because Audacity doesn't actually know the tempo we're in. It can't tell us, oh, this is 120 beats per minute or whatever. So we put a 0 in there, and the reason is because we downloaded it in. If we had recorded this from the original, then it would know. Then you backspace. Now we're going to arbitrarily pick minus 70%. I have looked at this a little bit, and the riff is, even at minus 70%, is a little bit of a challenge. So, but it's a reasonable challenge. Now, if you're using Audacity and you're using these functions, always click this Use High Quality Stretch box because it will sound so much better in playback than if you don't. So we're going to preview it like you should always do with computer software. Okay, I think that's going to give us what we want. So I'm going to click Apply. And we're going to move these little guys here, which create the loop. Most of you have probably used a loop before. If you've used a loop before, say something in chat. Be interesting to see what you guys have learned already. So what this does now is that Tony can listen to it a couple of times without me stopping and starting. Again, we're going to use this introduction. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter so we don't have to listen to so much slow stuff. But right from here, I think it'll still give Tony plenty of introduction to find out to get into what he's trying to do. That's the idea, is to have some time set up for the introduction. All right, we are now listening. So let's talk about that now. Why is listening so powerful? It's because you can't, with music theory, figure out what Chris is doing. We've proven that. We can't figure it out by playing the piano. We can't figure it out by using quantized music. We can't figure it out by looking at the dots on the paper. We have to learn it from Chris, and that's what we're doing. So I'm slowing it down just like the great coaches in athletics do. They take their great people they admire, get videos of them, and then slow it down. And they look at it, so it helps them coach, and then they have their people they're coaching look at it. And then all of a sudden, the magic that nobody ever understood. Boy, they did that a lot with that tennis player. What was his name? Anyway, he had so many great skills that nobody really could understand. When they started getting the technology to slow him down, then all of a sudden his secrets were out there. Right? So we're doing the same thing with Chris, and I hope he doesn't sue me. He won't. I'm kidding. But let's just listen. So if you were at home practicing this would be homework. You would be using the vocal muse system or technique if you're studying with me. People pay me thousands of dollars to learn this, coming and going in their sessions, but I save them a lot of time. But the video program, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want to get this information, you go to the Vocal Muse suite that I sell, and we'll get to that later, which will show you from A to Z how to do this. So the listening at home would be 20, 30, maybe 40 times, depending on how clearly you hear it or how fast you want to go. But I would suggest you go slow. And you're going to notice, even listening 2 or 3 times, we're going to hear things that we've never heard before. Let's listen. And here's the line we're really going to focus on. That's going to loop back so we can hear it again. I love that. Okay, now we'll let Tony listen a couple more times, but let's stop for a moment and see what we've assimilated. Okay, and that's really what you have to do. You have to assimilate this, like the osmosis, you know, that the plants use. You can't really draw out a map and say, okay, this is what he's going to do. I won't say much more about that. So the listening makes it so we can absorb what Chris is doing. Now, there's a couple of things that I noticed I really liked that weren't even in the part that Tony wants to learn, but when he goes sweet, when he sings that, this is sweet, he really slowly comes up to that sweet, and that's like a guitar player bending the note, you know, like that new keyboard you've got. So, you know, and it just creates so much cool tension. Now, at the original tempo, that, you know, it's going much faster, but it still has pretty much the same effect. It builds tension, which draws us in to learn other things. The other thing was whine. When he says, why, you know, I mean, that's just, it's all personality, man. It's all emotions. So personality and emotions cause these things. These don't cause the personality. So in other words, if we look at it technically and go, oh, well, you know, we put it on a spectrum, sound spectrum. Oh, he's coloring it this way. We put a foreman up there and say, oh, he's doing this with the vowel and so forth. Yeah, that's really cool, but you got to do it before you're actually going to get it. And it's coming from his emotions. It's coming from his experience as a musician all his life. He's also a guitar player and a damn good one. So that all those things help. So I'm not at all against, you know, people learning to be musicians and singers. If you're new to coming in here, we're looking at Chris Stapleton. We're learning from him how to create his magic, his blues, his style, his color. And Tony is being on the hot seat right now, helping us see what it's like to be a student learning this. So I'm going to play it. You want 2 more times or 1 more time, Tony? What do you think?
Oh, as many as possible. I'll take 2.
Yeah, he wants the homework now. And I understand, you know, because we're performers and, you know. But like I mentioned to you before, we're not here to entertain you. We're here to show you what it's like to be a great singer. Because, you know, what you don't know that Chris does in the background is maybe he learns this way from other singers, and he's making a lot of mistakes. And when he's practicing this song for the first time. It was written almost 35 years ago. This is an old song, and so, he's redoing it. I don't know who he learned it from. Maybe he just grabbed the chords and went at it. I mean, you don't know, but I can tell you, he was throwing out a lot of stuff that no one would want to hear. Not even him. So that's how we learn. That's how we create. We throw things out that really don't work, and then we go, okay, what did work? And that's what we're going to really focus on today. What does work, not what doesn't. And when you start to assimilate what does work, then you become the artist. You become the person who creates. So Chris has already done all this. Maybe not exactly the way we're doing it, but I can guarantee he's done it. He didn't just wake up, like the American Idol fantasy. He didn't wake up in the morning and go to a guitar store and get a guitar and go home, and all of a sudden he's singing like that, and he gets on that show, and his dad died, so he's sad, so wow, he's a great singer. Well, it didn't happen that way. Sorry. And I won't tell you what he had for coffee in the morning because I really don't care. What I do care about is how he sings and how much we can learn from that. I've got to re-scrub this because it lost its place.
There is so much, I'll use the word data, in that tiny little section where he does that. I can't believe how much he fits in there and makes it work.
Well, you've heard my blasphemy. What is yours? What did you hear?
As much as I hear his riffing going up and down, there's much more going on than I thought that there was hearing it at this level. And it's really interesting to hear just how wonky his pitch is getting when you're listening so critically, as opposed to just hearing the emotion of it. It's so much data. It's crazy.
Did you notice the wah-wah?
The wah-wah.
You know what I'm talking about, the wah-wah pedal? He's not actually using one. I'm using it kind of descriptively.
Okay.
So
yeah, you know what? I did pick up. There's a couple of harmonics that I'm getting from his voice that almost sound, and they're creating that sort of wah-wah effect.
There's another thing. His mouth.
Okay.
So he's warm is the so ah is basically the vowel. So it's wah, wah, wah. Now of course I'm going crazy doing weird stuff. I don't know what the hell he's doing exactly, right? Because I haven't spent the time either. This takes time, folks. You want to be a great singer, it takes some time. This is not a flash, this is not a show that's trying to sell you something you can be great in 5 seconds. No, sorry. I know they're out there, and I try to avoid them every chance I get. But this is not what this show's about. There's a lot of people say, well, we're evaluating so-and-so today. Well, we're not listening to them as fans and going, oh, my God. Even though we're really impressed with Chris, what we really want to do here is learn from him. I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. Tony's a student. He wants to be great. He wants to be the best singer he could ever imagine he could be. He knows he can't do that by just going to concerts and being entertained. All right, so I'm going to play it a couple of times, and then Tony's going to start singing. But I'm going to promote a little bit of getting you to sing a little sooner than you want to, right?
Okay.
Just so that people have to listen to this 20 times.
Gotcha.
Even though they should, I just think, they didn't plan on this being, a 3-hour lesson. They planned it on, being an hour.
You can do it just once, actually,
once?
just to
okay.
save time. Yeah.
All right. Tony's courage, man.
Let's do it.
That's great. And that's another thing. Chris is a very courageous person. He didn't know whether people were going to like this or not when he first created it. He had to get out there and find out. Here we go. Wow. It's so slow, it's so cool. Check out his vibrato, you can really hear it. Here's the wah-wah. Let's give Tony one more round. I mean, I'm enjoying listening anyway.
It is. It's great to hear.
Yeah. We're listening to Chris Stapleton. That's great. Reminds me of Joe Cocker. All right, we'll let you go for it now.
All right, here we go.
Take a breath if you need to.
Okay.
You're going to let Tony practice it again? It's like a guitar player. That was much better. Just do a couple of listens. Now, this is great, and Tony's experiencing, and he can tell us about it. The listening. What power is the listening giving you? By the time you actually start to sing something, what power has the listening given you?
Well, as much as I feel like I'm lagging behind his changes, as I have him really just a bit louder than my own voice,
Okay.
I can follow his changes just behind him, and I feel myself almost catching up just in 2 tries.
Yeah, that's what I heard. The second time you were catching up much faster.
Right.
Now, the next part of this learning process that I use that is so powerful is just basically been around for a long time. I had my first multi-track recorder when I was 20. That was 52 years ago. But the digital version is really great. So what we're going to do is we're going to multi-track record. So Tony is going to record this time. And just to let people know, we're using FirePlay for the audio here. This cannot be done with StreamYard, which is the broadcasting for the video. It can only be done with something like FirePlay with no latency, basically, because Tony is actually singing across the internet into my Audacity with virtually no latency. And he's hearing it as if we were both in the recording studio. Basically, you guys can hear that as well. The quality is terrific. It's like being at Westlake in Hollywood almost. And so he's going to record this, and there's going to be quite a bit of data that we can get from that because we've got this FirePlay that we're using. If you want to look it up, it's FirePlay, FARPLAY.io. All right, so now we're going to record. Here we go, Tony. Rock out, my friend. Rock out. Way to go. That was a lot better. And your breath control.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Tony studies technique with me, and we've been making some changes, and this is one of them. His ability to hold out a note longer because his overall breath control, his laryngeal position is better, if you know what laryngeal means. If you don't, look it up. That's the beauty of all these things, and plus, you can always archive this and check it out. So I'm going to go to, in Audacity, it's called View, and then Track Size to make this so we can see everything pretty much equally. It's a little easier to see what's going on here. So what we're going to do here also is in Audacity we have to bring the volume of the recording up so that we can hear it a little better. So that's what we're doing here. We're applying this so that the volume between the two vocals is much closer. Okay, so what Tony is listening for and what you all can be listening for as a student and or as someone who's just looking at this going, what the hell are they talking about? He's going to be listening for that unison that we talked about earlier. So if you're just joining the show, we are listening to Tony after he has tried to create a unison, the brave man he is. And now we've recorded it so that Tony can listen back and say, where am I with Chris? That's what we really want to know. Where am I with him? The way that we were brought up, the mistakes you make, you won't even have to think about. You'll hear them. Forget it. Forget them. So after he sings and hears himself, then he can go back and listen again and say, okay, what is Chris doing that I missed? Or how can I make it better? And again, it's going to be through the listening. So he may go back, maybe listen 5, 10 times. And the whole process is basically you do what we did today, but after you get so that you're getting closer and closer to the unison, you record it, you go back and listen, you go back to practicing a few times where you're starting to hear that unison coming into place, and then you test it. So the recording is the testing. We're not trying to say this is something we're going to sell on the market. This is something that we're using so that we can verify, and that's why I'm saying you don't actually need a coach to use this system because you can verify at this point how on or off you are. Again, if you want technique, go to private coach. If you want me to help you with this, you can contact me, not through here, but various places. But you can make comments and I can get back to you. So let's listen now. So we're listening to Tony in unison with Chris. What a treat. Here we go. Yeah, cross his fingers. We're still going to use the introduction so we can all get into the groove because the tempo is so slow, it's different. It feels different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his diction is not musical theater. Right? You could really tell Tony's getting into it when he starts making those sounds that are similar to Chris.
You know what I just noticed?
Probably a lot of things, but I'd like to know.
Okay, I think in my head, the thing that's really important about this is I realize as I'm listening back, I'm hearing myself anticipate what I think is coming, right, as opposed to reacting what's happening. I think that's something that's going to help me with this a lot, not to try not to anticipate it and follow what he's doing.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you, what do you think that solution is going to be? How are you going to get there so you're not anticipating anymore?
I think what I'm going to have to do is just listen to it a lot more,
yes,
a lot more.
Yes.
And then I'm going to allow myself to be just behind what he does, at least for the first few times that I sing along with him. That's
fantastic. It's the right answer to me. When I had to create this on my own, I had to be the student, right? So I had to grab singers and start trying to create a unison. And, of course, having some music theory, I wouldn't call myself a music theorist, but having some of it and being able to talk about it, I'm going, what is this singer doing? Where's the beat, right? I was expecting to hear the ba-ba-ba, right? And maybe actually Chris, as I recall, is pretty well. No, actually, we looked at that. He's a little bit late of the 16th, and then he ends a little bit early before the actual beat is over with. But point is that, I was thinking it would be ba ba ba, just like the sheet music. It's supposed to be ba ba ba. Well, it's not. Sorry, folks. So how was I going to learn that? Well, it wasn't, music theory wasn't working. I was thinking of crazy things like, okay, is that the 32nd note? Are they coming in on 32nd? And I was thinking, I'm never going to figure that. I mean, with all the math and everything, it's like, this is nuts. So what I realized is that I had to absorb what they were doing in order to create a unison. And absorption in this situation creates listening. Listening is the most powerful thing that you can do in music, and a lot of musicians are very good at it, and they actually do learn it. They're actually taught it. You should listen. Singers, not so much. And it's unfortunate, but here's the 21st century, and I think the more people that do this, the better the overall quality of singing is going to be. When we're walking down the street and somebody's busking, we're going to be more like, oh, man, you hear the artistry there? Instead of all of this technical stuff they're trying to do. And, it makes you really tense. You're trying to think, okay, I got to be on the beat. I got to be perfectly on the pitch. I got to have a vibrato at 6 times a second, like my teacher taught me. I sang rock and roll for almost 18 years before I had a voice teacher that was any good, anyway. And so I learned a lot of technical things, but then I started busting them. I started going, well, okay, that's what he taught me, and I do need to stop straining, and I did. And so that was great. But I also need to get what's going on here. So Tony's absolutely right. The way I did it was slow it down, listen over and over and over again. Now, you may be asking, well, what about the original tempo? Are you ever going to get back to that? Well, of course. We're not going to go perform it this slow. There's kind of a parable here when people see some actually incredible martial artists out on the park, moving very slowly. And they're thinking, man, I could punch him long before he could move. Well, they're moving slow so they can get it right. If you attack them, they're going to move much faster. Okay, so in the application, we're going to get back to Chris. And actually, one of the recommendations I would make to you, Tony, if you really want to feel comfortable performing this, is after you've mastered him, and then you go a little faster, maybe 2%, because at this rate, 2% could be quite a bit. So you mastered it 2% faster. Now, when you come back to the original tempo, it's going to feel easier.
Okay.
Right? That's a time-honored approach to a lot of things. It's psychological and physical. You get the physical ability to do it, and then the psychological is, if I can go 2% faster, then when I'm in front of people, it's no big deal. Just like you might raise the pitch to, instead of an A, raise it to B flat, so that you feel really comfortable singing it a semitone up. Okay. Then when you do it live, it's easier. It feels better. There's so many tricks. I mean, I could talk all day, and I'm not going to, because you guys will go nuts. There's so much information here that it just gets too much. And so I love what he said there. Now, here's the long-term result of this. After the original tempo has been met, or after the unison first. So today, let's pretend that Tony just did an absolute perfect unison with Chris. Now, Tony has done some absolute perfect unisons before with an artist. So, Tony, when that happens, what does that feel like to you as a student when you absolutely nail your favorite singer's unison?
That's the eureka moment. Oh my God, I nailed it. This is great. It's exciting. It's an exciting thing to listen back to.
And I know, it's like, what? Okay, most people don't want to hear back, but this is not you all by yourself. This is you with Chris. So it's a confidence builder. And then what you would do from there, of course, is you would start to speed it up. Now, musicians that have been through this experience know that once you've learned it at the slow tempo, then speeding it up doesn't take very long. It's the slow part that takes the time. But after that, we're at 70%, you bump it to 50, you go to 30, maybe 50, 20, 15. You have to feel it. If the unison starts to get, too wonky, then you're going to have to slow it down again and go back and listen and then, get it right. But once you're at the original tempo, that's when you start to work on your art. But since we haven't worked on that today, what Tony's going to demonstrate for us is, as an artist this time, he's going to, like he's already been doing, he's going to sing it his own way. With the music, I'm going to mute Chris. We have Chris's band here. Stem splitters, man. It's an incredible world. We have Chris Stapleton's band right here for Tony to sing with. So he's going to sing whatever he feels. You can sing part of the sweet part if you want, or whatever comes out of you, because you're singing as a creator this time.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Strawberry wine. You're as warm. I did it. I went the wrong way.
It's okay.
Oh,
This is learning.
as a glass of brandy.
Yeah, thank you so much. So what just happened there was Tony was making mistakes because he was trying to figure out, what do I want to do? I'm an artist now. I'm no longer trying to copy Chris, so I've got to throw things out and see if they stick or not. Some of it was really cool, Some of it he'll say, that was not me. I'm going to get rid of that. Or maybe he'll play it for his wife and she'll go, oh, yeah, one lick was kind of cool, but I'm going to throw everything else out. So it's a process. And, of course, what Tony would be doing would be using the multitrack and recording and listening back. Now, one thing I was thinking about that I haven't thought about before is, I'm always growing as a coach. Doing it at this tempo was kind of cool for improv because it gave you a lot of time to play. I heard that. You actually ended up, I think you ended up a little bit early in the overall ending. Okay. But still, you were able to come in, okay, where do I want to come in? Sweet! Oh, okay, I'll play with that. Sweet! And then, okay, what's going to happen here? Okay, what do I want to do there? So you get a chance to play. That you wouldn't have at the original tempo. One of the fun things about the music that was dominant in the blues era, especially like the 50s and early 60s, was the writers would write a line, it might be 2 or 3 words, and it might take up, who knows what the actual space it would take up. But then after that, they left space. So there was a lot of what we call negative space in arrangement. And what was fun about that was that once you got away again from copying the singer, you could play with that. And the singers used to do the same thing. They would play with it. And I want to give you one more thing that I'd like you all to do as homework. Chris Stapleton has several recordings of this, most of them live, but you also got the studio recording that most people have heard it. Now that you've been hearing and you're starting to understand what's going on, I want you to listen to Chris every time. You're going to notice he does it a little different because he's an improvisationalist. But so is Adele. So is Christina Aguilera. So is, I had his name for a second, Post Malone. They're all kind of singing from the heart, and the heart is always in flux. So every time you sing it, there's a little different emotion. It drives a little bit of different phrasing. And once you listen to one of his recordings, then you'll be able to do these A-B comparisons. Okay, he pushed the beat there, he pulled the beat there. Oh, he put in a different note he's never sung before. Oh, that's cool. So there's a lot to be learned, and that's why it's either good to have a coach take you through this. I would be ecstatic to talk to a coach that's doing this. If there's anybody out there that's doing this besides me, AI says there's not, so I'm a little bit lonely. And AI didn't say it was bad that I'm the only one. It just said that I'm the only one. And it was interesting because it said I had humility by turning it over to Chris. I'm not sure what to think about that, but I'll let you guys think about it. All right, so I'm going to pull this off the stage so we can kind of start to close the show. So again, thank you so much, Tony. Y'all that are out there at the typing position, throw some love to Tony for doing that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what a great guy, And of course, he's learning, which is something very powerful.
Always.
Now, of course, here comes the part where you can start to really understand. In the chat room, there's actually the links to Sync from Feel Suite. And also, there's the ebook, which is Sync from Feel. Actually, the first thing I said is Vocal Muse Suite is the first one. And the second one is Sync from Feel, Releasing Your Authentic Self. So again, as you saw, we got to the point where Tony was releasing himself. He was no longer being a copy. He was releasing his artistry. And also, I'm going to throw up a couple of QR codes for you to make things easy. Here is the Vocal Muse Suite, so you can get right to that link. And then the other one, I'll take it one at a time. Here on the right is the Sing from Feel book. So all this information is available to you. We will be doing more shows, so subscribe. I'll put this cute little guy out here. Subscribe so that you'll get notice when we're going to be, it may be Tony, maybe somebody else. If you go to my channel, you'll find a lot of shorts on these subjects with a lot of different singers, and you'll see quite a few that we've done where you get the full value. So if you want to check out Beyonce in the same way with my student Olga, or if you want to check out Jazz Singer with my student, yeah, I know her name.
Linda?
Carol. No. Linda. Thank you. Yeah, Linda Woodson. And Tony would love to have you guys come out and see him live. And I know you enjoy it because I've done it. I'm not talking out of my butt, so to speak. I'm trying to be a little cleaner here than musicians usually are.
Family friendly.
You can see, we have a lot of fun here. And when I play these things for AI, it says, well, you kind of did this and did that. Well, I'm not going to go through and try to be a perfect guy and, clean up all the editing and so forth. We're having fun here, and so it's real time. And when I teach, it's the same way. And I've said this a couple of times, but one more golden thing I'd like you to think about. When you're practicing, if you're not having fun, when you perform, you're not going to have fun either. And when the audience isn't having fun, they're not going to want to hear you. So make sure that even though some of these things may seem very technical, make sure you're having a blast when you're doing it. And that's the way I teach, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, we're closing the show. There'll be a little outro you can check out. Again, thanks again, Tony. Love all you guys that showed up. Hope to see you again. And yeah, peace, man. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, one more thing. I had to say that just to be funny. No, stop singing the notes and start feeling the music and sing the feel of the music. You'll be a much greater artist. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye.